gotta keep the heat on me. I'm just trying to keep the reaper on me. Fuck it, I'ma go whip a rolling. No, I gotta shake them demons off me. No, I gotta keep the heat on me. I'm just trying to keep the reaper on me. I'm just trying to duck them people's on me. No, I gotta shake them demons off me. No, I gotta keep the heat on me. I'm just trying to keep the reaper off me. Fuck it, I'ma go and whip a rolling. No, I gotta shake them demons off me. No, I gotta keep that heater on me. I'm just trying to keep the reaper off me. I'm just trying to keep them people off me. I'm just trying to duck the reaper while I got the heater. Shadow boss and
Yeah, listening to some of this Black Lotus music, Mindset Monday, y'all know how we do it.
Why these niggas sleeping? I was steady eating. They'll never catch me when I go to speak. Dirty money, then they hold it, Morgan Freeman. I tell Hunter whip it, hit it with the season. Then that nigga get it, hit it with the season. Hit it with the Yeezus, walking out with Jesus. Broke it down to pieces, white as Jackie Gleason. White as Doogie Howser, trying to duck the precinct. Pastor never look my way when he was preaching. Fuck it off the land is how my niggas eating. You know I'm a black out if I got a reason. I'ma make them call my name off in the bleachers. Used to flip a pack and serve it through the window. Now I flip a track and serve it through the speakers. Either way it's cracking, busting through the beaker. Keep that on the low, I'm trying to duck them people. Fuck it, I'ma boot up and I go.
Mindset Monday, y'all know what it is. Black Lotus, the brand, the lifestyle, Trey Snatch, pennies to dollars, dollars to leverage, leverage your way to freedom. Y'all know what we doing over here. You know what I mean? What they do, Queen. Mindset Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You know what we doing. Pennies to dollars, dollars to leverage. Leverage yourself to freedom. Black Lotus is the brand. It is the lifestyle. Trey Snatch, checking in with you. And we talking about credit today. You know, we talking about credit. I'm always talking about credit. If you haven't, go check out the Black Lotus GPS page that's dealing with all the credit tips, all the credit posts. You know, I got the Dooley Dojo on this side. We doing that, and a lot of people, if you've been following me for a while, you know how I was able to leverage and, you know, go into these different opportunities and things of that nature, and it's all been due to the credit. Now, yes, I use my stocks to leverage it, because that was the goal from the beginning, to leverage the stocks and use low income or low entry cost investments in order to build up capital, in order to invest that into credit, and then leverage that into different business opportunities such as the Dooley Dojo and you know, the other endeavors that I have going on with real estate and everything like that. What they do, Queen? What they do, royalty? Yeah, so we just talking about credit today. I always talk about credit because that's what enables you to expedite the process in attaining assets, attaining real estate, income producing businesses, whatever you may want to start up, whatever you may want to do. The credit gives that ability to do it. Now, you got two options with the credit. You could DIY, which is do it yourself. What they do, royalty, everybody checking in. We're talking about credit. If you haven't followed my Black Lotus GPS page, I have all the credit posts on that side. But, you know, on this side, I do have the Dooley. But what allowed me to have that income, what allowed me to have the startup capital and working capital for the business was credit. You know, because at what point do we have, you know, startup capital to purchase these things? You know, so I want to get into some credit tips, some credit information that you may not know, or you may do know, just in case, you know, you haven't been following me for a while. So everybody knows about excuse me, the 3 bureaus. And if you hear that stuff in the background, it's my daughter. Y'all know, for those of y'all who don't know, I homeschool my daughter, so I'm with her, you know, majority of the time. So so everybody knows about the 2 bureaus. The 3 bureaus: TransUnion, Experian, Equifax. Everybody knows about that. But just about anything can be removed off the credit. Now, these things will boost your score and allow you to be able to have the opportunities, whether it be to do an FHA, conventional, veterans loan, 3.5% down, credit allows you to get those things. Or if you want to go ahead and liquidate and then purchase the asset cash, you can do that as well too and let it cash that out as well. Or it allows you to have the down payment money if you're dealing with hard money lenders on the real estate side of things. If you're talking about the trucking or the dually, it allows you to have a lower down payment, a lower interest rate on the asset that you're purchasing. It allows you to have the startup capital to get all the paperwork done, administrative authorities, things of that nature. Or even if you're leasing on, it allows you to carry over the payments until your assets begin to your income producing business becomes an asset to pay itself off. That's the purpose. But anyway else, how would you be able to take advantage of these opportunities that's here? Now, there are plenty of opportunities that are lower entry cost points and things of that nature, but the credit plays such an important role. So when you're talking about the two sides of credit, you're talking about the removal side, which is the repair or the cleanup side. Then you have the building side. We want to be what they do, Queen, what they do. We want to be cognizant of the first step, which is the repair side. So if you have negative inquiries, negative payment history, old accounts that may be closed, things that's reporting in student loans. I'm going to talk about that in a second as well too. Student loans, because that seems to be the hot topic. Kaizen the Investor, what they do. If you're not following the Kaizen Investor, make sure you go follow the Kaizen Investor. She has the Soul Food Sundays every Sunday at 6. And she has a special guest every week, and it's food for your soul to get your week started. So, if you're a religious person, you go get your service, you go get your food, and then at 6 p.m., you make sure you tune into the Kaizen Investor, because she's going to have that food for your soul. You take a little foil and take it with you for the rest of the week. So make sure you holler at the Queen. She's in the D.C. area. She does great interviews. She's a great host. She does wholesale and real estate. Make sure you check the Queen out. I got to show you love, Queen. So back to what I was saying as far as the credit aspect is concerned. So you got the repair and the removal side. So you can get just about anything off of the credit. Repossessions, bankruptcies, anything that you could think of, you can get it removed. And you got two different ways of getting it removed. You can do it yourself, or you can have someone do it for you. If you're interested or you have any issues with problems such as student loans, removals, things of that nature, definitely hit up my Black Lotus GPS page, hit me in a DM, and we could, work something out to where it gets you situated as far as that's concerned. So you can remove anything off of the credit, but you want to be strategic and cognizant. That's why it makes sense to get with someone who is very familiar, or a company that is very familiar with these processes, because sometimes you think that you would want to just take everything off when you don't. It's depending on your particular goal, what you're trying to accomplish. So you might have student loans, let's just say. If your student loans is in good standing, you might want to keep, Queen Talisha, what they do. You might want to keep that student loans on there, especially a federal student loan, in order to show good payment history, right? You may want to keep that particular bill that you've been having in good standing, even though you don't want to pay it any longer. You may want to go ahead and continue to pay it just until you get what it is that you're trying to get, or accomplish that goal, and then get it removed off. See, a lot of people just think, okay, I just want to get all of this stuff off and then go and get an FHA home, or get some trade lines to get an FHA home. There's nuance to this whole thing, right? And I hadn't talked about the nuances a lot. Usually I went into scuba class. I used to do that type of stuff, and I'm gonna get into a little bit of that this evening. So I'm gonna dig deep with y'all. So with the particular strategies, you want to be careful, because if you're going to get a home through FHA, conventional terms like that, you don't want to have any trade lines like authorized user trade lines on there. What is an authorized user trade line, for those that don't know? If Kaizen or Queen Talisha has credit cards that's $20,000 limits, they could put me as an authorized user, and I don't have to get those cards, but their good credit will report on my credit. and now that boosts my score, and it shows that I have a higher utilization, right? So this method is used to get funding. As far as personal credit, if you have a business, you can use your personal credit as a personal guarantor to get business credit. This is used in this method. You can get up enough credit and capital in order to purchase an asset, such as a business, a home, whatever it may be. But if you're that is doing it from that route, a hard money lender or creative or alternative financing. That is the method. But if you're going to get FHA, conventional, or anything that's federally funded, if you will, you don't want to have these authorized use or trade lines on your credit. So you want to be careful of what your goal is, who you're working with, and make sure that they're knowledgeable of all these nuances pertaining to your goal and what you're trying to accomplish. If not, you could find yourself in not so good of a position where you thought you were, or put yourself out of a good position. Because everything is about positioning and leveraging, whether it's relationships, whether it's credit, but specifically credit, it's all about positioning and then leveraging. So you want to know what you're going to, what is your goal and the route that you want to take in order to accomplish that goal. That's very important. What they do, royalty, what they do, royalty. You want to be very cognizant. King Pete, what they do, King Pete in the building. You want to be very cognizant of what your goal is and how you're going about attaining that goal. Because if you don't, you're going to position yourself, take yourself out of position, right? You want to make sure of that. Now, the process is get the removals off, build up your profile with like primary trade lines such as My Jewelers Club and New Coast Direct that'll put primary trade lines. So now these are like credit cards, but they're lines of credit on a particular online store, but it reports on your credit. So now you're decreasing your utilization, but putting your spending limit higher. Now this will put you can use that for FHA, but not authorized users. But once you do that and build that profile, you've gotten rid of those negative remarks. You've determined which negative remarks that you want removed from the ones that you want being kept, good debt and bad debt. Then also you got those primary trade lines. You built that account. You know what method of that you want to take to attain your goal. Then you go ahead and do the next step. Whether if it's FHA, you can go ahead and apply for the loan because it takes between a 580 and up. You can get approved for FHA or a 203K loan, the renovation loan. Or if you're going to go and do the funding route, you go ahead and put those trade lines on there and get the funding sources. And if you are looking for funding, make sure you hit up my Black Lotus GPS page. Hit me in a DM, and we could go ahead and get your situation situated with that. So that's how the credit situation works. Now let's talk about student loans for a spell, because I know a lot of people dealing with this. You got two sides of student loans, just like you got the two sides of credit. You got private student loans, and then you have federal student loans. Now, private student loans like Navient, that can be removed, no problem. You have anybody who have issues with that, tell them to hit my Black Lotus GPS page, hit me in the DM. We can go ahead and get you situated, right? That's no problem. Now, the other side, which is federal student loans, that's where it gets a little bit tricky. Those can be removed too, no pressure, no problem. However, pay attention, because here's where it gets tricky. When I say federal, we're talking about Fed loans, NELNET, AES, American Education Systems, and so forth and so on. Now, with these particular entities, which they're actually nonprofit organizations, but that's another story for another conversation. With these particular entities, they have the ability to garnish wages and levy tax returns. And that's something that you don't want, especially if you have a conventional job, like a 9-to-5. You work for a particular company, they can go directly to the company and garnish your wages. Now, if you're self-employed, you're a business owner, entrepreneur, it's a little bit different, because who they're coming to see, they're coming to see you. So that can be finessed and finagled. However, what I recommend, just depending on what your goal is, a lot of times, is to put these in forbearance or deferment, not default. Default is going to get you scarred. Default is going to get your bread took. Default is going to drop that credit score crazy. But just depending, if you are going through conventional means such as FHA, 203K, things of that nature, they only use a third of the debt in the equation or algorithm for your debt to income ratio. So you can still get a home or your asset in that context. If you default, it's your fault. Well, you got to stay cognizant. You got to stay on point. You got to stay diligent with all of your affairs, because you are the trustee of your own estate, or trust, if you will. You're the CEO of your life's company, because everything is a business. Everything is a business, from your, just to turn on the lights, that's a business. To maintain the expenses. Let me see. I got it sideways. That's why I'm turning my head sideways. Wait, I got a question. When it comes to trade lines, which is better, a card with a high limit or a card with a low limit that have a long history on the payment? They're both good. They're both good. So what I would recommend, if you have those resources available to you, I would get both trade lines, because you have a high limit reporting and you have a long history reporting. So I would recommend that you do both. To be, in my personal opinion, I would recommend that you get trade line for both. So now you have both of those reporting on there. You have a long history and you have a high limit, and it's going to increase your probability to get approved for the particular funding that you're looking for, depending on who it is. And the funding is a whole nother context in itself. But I hope I answered that question, Queen Kazi. I would recommend both. Queen Meticulous, what they do. I would recommend both. The long limit is good. The long history is good at the same time. Think about it like this. If you are looking, or if you're wanting to get a $25,000 car, and you have just a trade line that has 10 years good history, but it only has a $3,000 limit, they're probably not going to approve you for $25,000, because you don't have $25,000 worth of credit on there. So they might give you a fraction of that trade line. Let's say they might hit you with $1,500, they might hit you with $2,000. However, if you had that card on there that had the 10-year history, as well as a $25,000 card that had the high limit, now they're more likely to give you $15,000, $20,000 on that particular card. So I hope that answers the question for you. What they do, everybody chiming in. We're just talking about credit, talking about the funding sources, the algorithms that's used for funding, and different trade lines and different methods of using the trade lines. So that's what you want. That's what I would recommend that you do. Get both of them on there. So, and trade lines, those are available too. Hit up my Black Lotus GPS page, hit me in the DM, and we can work the trade lines for you. A lot of network. Last year I did close to $250,000 in personal funding for individuals. This year I've done about 150,000. Not as much as last year at this point, but y'all know I've been focusing on some other things. I got the Dooley Dojo going. If you're interested in getting into the truck and the Dooley side of things, definitely hit me up. Purchase the book, Dooley Dojo. The link is in my bio now. Bring in anywhere from $1,000 to $1,600 a week without driving and without dispatching. So, but all of these things have due diligence and dojo work. There's nothing that you're gonna find that doesn't have dojo work. Whether you starting from the pennies and going to dollars, or you're on the level of the leveraging and working the credit situation, all this requires dojo work. From the different bureaus that's required in respect to your credit report and your credit standings, because if you have Credit Karma app, which is free and updates every 7 days, but it's not as accurate as someone like Identity IQ or MyFICO or Experian. However, you'll find at times that your Equifax score may be, way higher than your TransUnion score per se, right? It's because these different cards and different collection agencies and different entities of that nature have contracts with different bureaus. So you might have more inquiries on Equifax because the payday loan place, or the light company, or the phone or Sprint reported to Equifax more than they reported to TransUnion, or vice versa. So that's why you'll find yourself at uneven scores a lot of the times, because they're separate entities. They don't work together. However, when in the removal process, you might find that you will get one bureau like TransUnion to remove something, and Equifax didn't. Let's just say you could send them information saying, hey, TransUnion wasn't able to verify and get this off, so you need to take this off. And that's a method that will work in oftentimes as well too, getting things off your credit. So does anybody have any other questions right now? Any questions that I can answer dealing with leveraging your penny or investing your pennies, low cost interest or entry point? Any credit questions? Any other trade line questions? Any removal questions? Any student loan questions? A lot of people was hitting me about the student loans. If y'all got questions about the student loans, go ahead and ask me now. Y'all want me to tell you how the student loans work on some deep stuff? So check this out, right? Let's say the student loan servicer is harassing you. We're gonna say it's Fed loans, we'll just say. How long does it take to get hard inquiries off of your credit report? It can be done in 30 days. Now, hard inquiries are something else that has nuance to them as well too, Queen P. Will. Let me tell you about that. Here's the thing. So you apply for a card and you get it. You have that inquiry. Initially, it takes off like 3 points off your credit, and then it goes up based on what you got approved for. Now, if you got approved for it, that inquiry, okay, I will. So that inquiry is going to be on your credit. However, you don't want to get that removed if you got the card and that account is in good standing, because they could close your account once it gets removed off of there. So you only want to take off inquiries that you got declined for. Those are the inquiries that you do want to take off. So make sure if you are working with an individual or a business, make sure that they know that information. That's something that you might want to mention to them, because that could get rid of one of the cards that you already had and that you had in good standing by not knowing. I have a closed account. I owe $5,000. Should I keep the payments up, or should I take an L on my report? It's a good question. So, closed account, you can get that taken off. It's still reporting bad. What I would suggest to do is I would suggest to continue to pay, but get it removed at the same time. So once it's removed, then you could stop paying and then don't have to worry about the negative points on your credit, because if you follow my GPS page, that could drop your score significantly. Late payments are the one that drop your score the most for the most part. ADL, what they do, King, what they do, everybody joining in. So, all right, so I hope I answered that question for you. Now, let me go into the student loans. So let's just say it's Fed loans, right? And don't remember, Fed loans is on the federal side, so they will garnish your wages and garnish your wages and levy tax returns. But I'm just going to use them as an example, right? So when you signed up for your FAFSA with, your school, whatever the case may be, did any of the paperwork say Fed loans on it? No, they didn't. So for sure, royalty. So none of those papers have Fed loans on it, right? But you signed the paperwork for your FAFSA, whatever. Cool. You signed it, got your stuff. Now you out, they coming to collect, right? But did you ever do any business with Fed loans? No. You never did any business with Fed loans. You did business with your Department of Education. You did business with your financial aid department and FAFSA. FAFSA is not Fed loans. So with that being said, you never contracted, which is signed any paperwork with Fed loans. Therefore, they don't have a right to enforce on that particular debt. Specifically, why? What they're telling you that they're servicing a debt, when in actuality they are collecting on an account. Remember these key words, royalty. There's a difference between the debt and the account. You're not saying that the debt doesn't exist. You're challenging the account, right? In order for a company to create an account number for you, they have to have your consent, your permission, and your signature. So with that being said, did you do any business or contract with Fed loans? No, you never signed any paperwork that said Fed loans. However, they have a Fed loans account number associated to a debt, right? So what transpired is the documentation that it takes to create that account number, they forged your signature on it and created an account in your name. And now they're putting it through the credit bureaus and forcing you to pay. That's called identity theft. If you forge someone's signature, that's identity theft. The account was forged in order to create it. Therefore, you're a victim of identity theft. However, let me put another disclaimer in here that this is, I'm not your fiduciary and this is only for educational and entertainment purposes only, right? On top of that, they, on the federal side, can go directly to your job and garnish your wages and levy tax returns. So, the process of getting rid of the federal loans, student loans, is a whole longer process that I don't recommend because it takes a lot. You actually have to do a particular type of bankruptcy, which is a Chapter 7 no asset bankruptcy, and put them on the Schedule F for unsecured debt. And the bankruptcy could stay on your credit for up to 2 years, but it can be removed faster than that as well too. So that's a process, but it will reduce your score by 240 points. And getting that 240 points, unless you got a network, a bunch of individuals with a bunch of trade lines, if you got to pay for them, it's going to cost you a bag. Now, it's going to be a cheaper bag than what you were paying for in student loans or your total sum. However, it's a whole process, and I don't really recommend it. That's why I usually recommend individuals to just go ahead and do a forbearance or the other one. It slips my mind, but y'all get what I'm saying. That's why I recommend it, because there are other ways that you can achieve your goals and attain what you're trying to do a lot faster than going through that whole process. Now, once you've gotten your shit straight and gotten your shit together, you want to double back and get rid of it. All right, cool, because you've attained your assets exceed your expenses. You have things set up structurally from a business aspect and things of that nature. Then you can go ahead and get into that situation. However, I don't recommend it just starting off or going like that. If you're in good standings and you're paying them, continue to pay them, get your assets. If you haven't started paying them or you've been brushing them off, continue to brush them off while you get your stuff, and then you double back, if that makes sense. So they do fraud, basically. So when we think of fraud, we think of, the swipers and, what I'm saying, the scammers, them cats like that, swindlers. However, there's levels to everything. So the highest levels are being done in the financial institution and their standard practice. But we don't know because we're not privy to the laws that have been put in place for us. A lot of these laws are used on a basic credit repair level, such as Consumer Protection Reports Act and things of that nature. And those could be used for erroneous and misinformation that's done there. That's another thing as well too. Bringing it down for a second with the student loans per se, right? Who's to say a specific number? Who's to say the specific interest? How can that be verified and validated? On top of that, the authorized holder in due course of a note. I know that is legal jargon, but basically, when you signed that paperwork, the individuals that you signed that paperwork to is not the individuals that's collecting it. So the individuals that you originally contracted with would be the authorized holder of the note, because once you sign it, basically it turns into a note, a promissory note actually. But however, the individuals who gave the bread to you ain't the individuals who collected the bread to you. So the people who you did contract with are the holders in due course of that note, and the individuals who are collecting it are not. So you can ask them, are you the authorized holder in due course of this note? And they have to tell you the correct answer, which is no by law. And that gives proof and reason to alleviate the account or remove the account off your credit report. Did I lose y'all? If y'all got any questions, let me know. Am I going too deep in the scuba class? Am I using terminology that are losing y'all? I don't want to lose anybody, but I do want to, drop the jewels on the people. Because this is, the student loans is something that's plaguing a lot of different people. And if it's not plaguing you, individuals who it's not. Another thing, if you follow my page, I just did a post where it was an article about the 99% of the loan forgiveness applicants have been denied, right? So they came out with this whole program and they did a whole campaign about it, saying if you work for public service like the county, or you're a teacher, you work for 10 years, you sign up for the program, you work for 10 years, and they get rid of your student loans, right? Also, if you are handicapped, paraplegic, and disabled basically, they'll get rid of your student loans, things of that nature. Or, it was a bunch of different stipulations, like, if your school closed down, like University of Phoenix, or, some shit like that too. Anyway, the loan forgiveness, just got to get used to the financial jargon. Yeah, so if there's any terms that I mentioned that you want me to break down for you, let me know. I think I broke down authorized holder in due course of the note, what a note is, some of the laws. So, dang, you made me lose my train of thought, King Pete. Dang, you made me lose my train of thought. So the fraud, right? So there's a process called securitization. Securitization is when employees such as the CEO and the VP of financial institutions turn basically paper into money. It's called from making it illiquid to liquid. So once you sign that promissory note, if you will, right? They turned on the back and stamped it, paid to the order of that financial particular institution. Now, I'm gonna get a little conspiracy theory-ish, if you will, right? So now, on the back of your social, there's a red number with a letter in the front of those red numbers, right? That's an account number. If you look up that first letter, it's gonna be one of 12, it represents one of 12 Federal Reserve banks where you have a bunch of money in there. But it's not money how you think of it. So, anyway, so they go to the Federal Reserve, and they pull from your money and loan it to you. That's how the whole process works as far as with student loans and with banks and things of that nature. So, with that being said, when they signed the back of the promissory note that you signed, they turned it from illiquid to liquid. However, that is a fraudulent act because it's called material alteration of a contract, because it was already done and they did something to it again. So they altered it, the material alteration of the contract. So that's an instance of fraud right there. Also, ouvre baño, allez baño konya chérie. So, my bad, y'all. So, okay, so they altered the contract. That's the first instance. That's the first instance of fraud that they did. Also, they got your bread out from your account and then loaned it to you. This is called posing as a lender. That's also fraud. So, we don't know that these things transpired, and we don't know that they're fraud because we're not familiar with the laws and acts that have been put in place. We're more familiar with the statutes, and there's a hierarchy when it comes to law. Now, like I said, this is going into the deeper levels of removals, because this guy actually goes into jurisprudence, if you will, which is basically the fancy term for law. So a lot of credit repair people stay on the basic levels of, the FACRAs and using the Federal Trade Commission and things of that nature, because that is the bureau that regulates all financial entities. However, many individuals are not familiar with this whole securitization process and the steps that it takes. And how can I go and get my bread? Okay, so it's not bread like that. So here's the thing. When we think of money, when we think of money, we think of Federal Reserve notes. Notice we're using that word Federal Reserve again, right? These are actually debt notes. The money that the ones, the fives, the hundreds, these are actually promissory notes, a promise to pay. This is not actual money. So when you go and get money, you actually are creating more debt. So the money that's in there is used to offset debt opposed to create more debt. So if y'all understand what I mean, or if you understand what I just said, put a yes. Or if you want me to break it down a little bit more, let me know. But long story short, we're not using real money per se, because if you look in the law, legal tender, if you will, is something that have value in it. So back in the day, how the money came about was that it was backed by gold. So each note, you could actually were able to go to the bank and get its value worth in gold, right? Because it was backed by something. But the dollar is no longer backed by anything. It's backed by the faith and the credit of the people, because we put the value into the dollar. So it's not real money. Okay, please break down. So the dollar that we use is not real money. It's not real at all. What is real legal tender is really gold. That's like really the standard. However, with the Federal Reserve, they create promissory notes, which create more debt. So if you ever see somebody pull up the national debt calculator and it shows the money, the debt going up, this is the debt that's actually being created, because the more money that gets printed, the more debt that's created opposed to the real money. Let's see. Break it down like it like a heated bandsaw. Okay, so we don't understand the process, the process of law and commerce. And the individuals that did understand this, these were the individuals that were getting lynched back in the days. So the masses are ignorant to this, and businesses are created and money is made off the ignorance of the people and the individuals. So when you get your birth certificate is a bond and your social security number is an account at the Federal Reserve Bank. If you don't believe me, look on the back of your social, you'll see it. It's going to be a letter followed by a series of numbers. If you Google or YouTube it when we get off the live and put Federal Reserve Banks, 12 Federal Reserve Banks, and the letters associated with 12 Federal Reserve Banks, and you'll see what bank your account is at, what city, like Chicago. So if you get $1 that has silver certificate on it or gold certificate, then it's real. Yes, but those bills are rare to find. They're really not in circulation anymore. And if you were to go to the bank, they have no gold to give you. I always wondered, why can't someone pay off all of that debt accumulated? Because they create money from it. They create debt slaves from it. You get me? It can, but they have to take out every dollar out of circulation and go to another means. Sorry about that, just got a phone call. So they have to go to another standard of means. Remember, we have military and we have entertainment here. Those are the only things that this country produces. That's why we have to keep the strong military to keep a hold on everything. That's all we have. We don't have natural resources and we're not a producing country any longer like that. Make sense to y'all? Questions. I know I'm going into the scuba class talking about securitization and Federal Reserve. Just getting, bringing some enlightenment to the people. And, it affects us, especially the individuals who went to school and got those student loans. I see, so it's needed in a sense. For control to be kept, for power to be kept, for control and power to be kept, absolutely it's needed. And, anybody who, has a plan or, has a vision to disrupt that, they're dealt with, i.e. Gaddafi, i.e. rest both they sold Gaddafi and Nipsey Hussle. I truly believe that it was something deeper. I honestly believe that he was going to create something on a micro level that was going to spread like wildfire, and which was, he was into cryptocurrency. He went to Amsterdam and saw a whole city that's ran strictly off cryptocurrency. So I believe he was going to make his plaza the micro example of how a whole plaza and different businesses, from the food business, clothing business, things of that nature, could be run strictly off cryptocurrency. And that model would start to get mass adopted through hip-hop, because hip-hop is the number one source of music globally. So the concept would spread like wildfire, causing disruption on like a Pac level of his time, where Pac was like, okay, we're going to create these a political party called Thug Life that represents these individuals that's multicultural. Nipsey was going to do like how MLK was talking about. Well, he was going to march and say, give us our money, the Colored People's March. That's why he was assassinated, bringing colored people, whites and blacks together in the basis of economics. That's where I was going to get to. Nipsey was going to affect and disrupt the economics of the system and do it on a micro level, as an example with the cryptocurrency, and then mass adopt it through his casino that he was investing in, and then with Jay-Z's mass power and network through hip hop and hip hop culture, it would have spread globally and been a major disruption. Now some people may be like, hey, you straight off the deep end and stuff like that. But, like I say, I have a understanding of information like I was breaking down to y'all, just a minute ago, from the Federal Reserve to the securitization to the laws that's in place to the fraud that's being committed on as standard practice. These things matter. Why you think cryptocurrency is so shunned upon? Because it's not controlled, it's not regulated. They don't care about anything unless they can control it. As long as they can control it and oversee it, they're fine. But when it's not controlled, that's a problem, because that's messing up the church's money. So anything or anybody that, threatens messing up the church's money, which is the control and the control of the finances, can't be done. They're going to assassinate your character or try to assassinate you. That's just the bottom line. Bank holds our Social Security money. Yeah, the Federal Reserve banks. Now, don't go trying to go there and say I want my bread, because it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Remember, you're thinking about money in a different context. You different context. But like I said, don't believe me. Don't believe anything I say. I want you to go and Google it. I want you to go YouTube it. Now, it may send you down a rabbit hole, but at the same time, we have to be a knowledgeable people. We create royalty through financial literacy over here on this channel. So we got to be a knowledgeable people to know what's going on and how to utilize these things for our benefit. Definitely be educated, because once you attain all that wealth that we're, striving to create and attain right now, we want to be able to keep it, manage it, maintain it, and let it last past us. And in order to do that, we have to understand these processes and things of that nature, like trust. Open trust accounts and put racks in it, like Nipsey said. He didn't talk about a will. He talked about trust accounts. So, because when you have a will, it has to go through, probate, and the state usually gets about 30% of the will in the estate, dealing with estates, but a trust, they can't touch any of it. So, you want 30% of the wealth creation that you had going to individuals who don't care nothing about you? What's a trust account? A trust is a entity or a creation that consists of three parts. You have a trustor, a trustee, and a beneficiary, right? So, for instance, I am the trustor. I create the trust with these three parts. And now you can create an account, an entity from this, like a business almost. But it's an account. You can create an account with these three parts: a trustor, a trustee, and a beneficiary. The trustor is the one that is giving or placing the asset into the trust, such as a home, such as a painting, whatever it may be. The trustee is the individual who manages this account. It could be an attorney, it could be a family member. The beneficiary would be the one who benefits from it. So I put this duplex in the trust and make my attorney, the trustee or the overseer or the manager of this trust account or this trust fund that has my duplex in it, let's say, and the beneficiary would be my daughter. So the attorney, who is the trustee, let's just say, will make sure that she gets the rent every month or every quarter, however it's set up. Does that make sense to y'all? Did I break it down? Or let me know. But this is what you create to pass down generational wealth without the interference of other individuals and entities that's trying to stick you for your paper. Damn, why are they trying to stick you for your paper? But all right. Any more questions? Any questions? Any comments? Talk to me. We done went from securitization to Federal Reserve to student loans to identity theft, credit bureaus to inquiries. How do you put your property in a trust? Okay, so that, it sounds like everyone and their mama needs a trust. Oh, that's a fact. That's a fact. Or you can have family trust too. Family trust as well too. How do you put a property in? Okay, so you have to create the entity first, and then you would transfer the title of the title of the deed into the trust name. Now that also has nuance to it, because if you don't own the property free and clear, and i.e. you have a mortgage on it, you have someone who has first place on the lien. So as soon as you go to transfer that, you're going to have problems. That's why mortgages make sure that you have title insurance. The title company is protecting the interests of the mortgage company more than yourself. I mean, you too in a sense, but whatever. You get the gist. So that process is a process in itself as well too, based on my research thus far, because I can only tell you what I know. There's another side to it that I'm not familiar with. The side of getting a mortgage off the credit, that side I understand, I know I can do. Now, getting the mortgage off of public record, off of the property, and then transferring it into a trust is the part that I have not gotten into, and I fully understand that process. Now, there's a dude, he's my house grant. I believe he does something like that on that side, but I think it'll cost you about 15 bands. Now, I've never done it with them. I don't know anyone who has done it, but we've had a couple of conversations, and I believe that they do something like that over there, but it's going to run you about 15 bands. But let's just say you have a $150,000 property, and you have your credit straight, and you have your funding, and you pay the 15 bands to do it, and you get it free and clear. Well, now you just gained a $150,000 asset free and clear for $15,000. So technically, you could turn around and sell it for the 150 bands, let's just say, and still have 135,000 cash. I'm just saying. I ain't the one to gossip, but you ain't heard that from me. You know what I'm talking about? Black Lotus, the brand of lifestyle. Pennies to dollars, dollars to leverage. Leverage your way to freedom. You know what I mean? Creating royalty through financial literacy. If you learned something, if you found something interesting, drop some hearts, drop some emojis in there. You know what I mean? Thank y'all for rocking with me. Do y'all have any questions? Do y'all have any comments about anything that I've spoke about tonight? That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. Definitely. Definitely. Make sure y'all follow my Black Lotus GPS page. Black_Lotus_GPS. Most definitely, man. Thank you, Royalty. Thank you, Royalty. Make sure y'all follow my Black Lotus GPS page for credit tips. I'm always dropping credit information on that side. On this side, y'all know what it is. Pennies to dollars, dollars to leverage, leverage your way to freedom. Y'all know if y'all stream the music and think about getting back in the lab too, man. You know, I've been having that itch. You know what I'm talking about? I've been having that itch lately. I think I might get back in the lab, drop me some new material. You know what I'm saying? So I've been thinking about that a lot lately. But yeah. Anyway, if you stream the music, if you purchase the merchandise, y'all know the link is in the bio. That's supporting me. If you purchase a book, Dollar Dojo or Dooley Dojo, or you book a consultation, you're investing in yourself. Pennies to dollars, dollars to leverage. Leverage your way to freedom. Knowledge is power. We create royalty through financial literacy, people. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all follow my Black Lotus GPS page, credit tips. You want removals, you want funding, hit that page, hit me in the DM. We get you sorted out, mate. You interested in the trucking, Dooley, something a little bit different, you know what I mean? Hit up the Dooley Dojo. We could do a consultation, and probably working on a digital product as well too. As far as that's concerned, do about $1,000 to about $1,600 a week with the Dooley scenario. Feel me? You know you can't hit the road without seeing a Dooley load. Feel me? With the cars on there, the Dooley with the 3-car haulers or whatever. You can't hit the road. You see them on the road, you know they getting dope. So, and if you look into that industry, it's a whole bunch of, hey guys, look at me, da 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 da. So we're gonna bring some culture to that industry. You get what I'm saying? We're gonna bring some culture to that industry for sure, for sure, for sure. But like I said, man, I ain't gonna hold y'all too much longer. Thank y'all for rocking with me. Thank y'all for coming through. If y'all got any questions, hit me up in a DM. You know anybody who can utilize any of these services or any of this knowledge that we have, or these resources that we have, tell them to hit my page. Tell them to hit me in a DM. You know what I'm saying? Referrals, I hit you up with a referral, everything like that. We all good, but we create royalty through financial literacy. So let's go ahead and turn our pennies into dollars and dollars into leverage and get up out the matrix. You feel me? Let's create these businesses, create these opportunities for other individuals, and keep iron sharper iron. Let's keep enlightening each other. Let's keep lifting up each other. And if nobody have told you today, you are royalty. You are kings. You are queens. And one day we'll be sitting on the beach, sipping pina coladas, all paid for by our income producing assets. All right? So y'all have a good night. Mindset Monday. Y'all holla at your boy, Trey Snatch.